Thank you very much for being here, Daniel Johnson. I know that you got the same message as I did about an hour ago. And thank you very much for being here. And thank you also, Eric, for your warm words of welcome. You know, it's very special, dear friends, to be in a country like Sweden and then being hosted by somebody from the Netherlands, because Eric is coming from the Netherlands, as I am. And that pleases me particularly because next year there will be the celebration of 400 years of diplomatic relations between Sweden and the Netherlands. So I think it's very nice that two Dutch people are here today with you here in Stockholm. So thank you very much for organizing this panel discussion today, and also for the cooperation of the Division for Energy at the Ministry of Enterprise, Energy and Communication. Your collaboration, your cooperation throughout the entire review process is very much appreciated. Well, so now I'm here to present our review of Swedish energy policies. And to make it clear, we do this for all our members, 28 members, every 5 years, and we even do it for non-members on request. At this moment, we are working, for instance, on Morocco, and we are going to work on Russia. Same kind of in-depth review as I'm going to present here today. But Sweden, well, dear friends, Sweden stands out as a particularly impressive case. And that is a testament to your good work, Secretary of State Daniel Johansson, and your Minister, Anna-Karin Hatt, but also to the political will here to tackle difficult and long-term challenges. And it all begins with ambition. And it begins with the national 2020 targets and the long-term priorities, and they really are ambitious. Well, a fossil fuel independent vehicle fleet by 2030, zero net greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Very impressive. But what's really impressive is that it has been the follow-up. And that means that Sweden is on track to meeting those targets. And so I'm happy to say that my message today is good work, keep it up. And beyond this key message, the report gives a number of technical recommendations for these ambitious long-term goals. And as you can see from this slide, it's a telling slide. It shows some striking facts. And Sweden is among the leading IEA member countries in terms of low carbon intensity of energy mix and its share of renewable energy. Among IEA member countries, Sweden has the lowest share of fossil fuels, 32% in 2011, compared to an IEA average around 80%. And the residential sector has almost phased out the use of fossil fuels. And the share of renewable energy in the transport sector is an impressive 9.8%, and that's very close to the 2020 target of 10%. And this is the result of what I already mentioned, continuous political efforts and also the implementation of the policy. Stringent carbon dioxide and energy taxation, emissions trading, and an efficient support scheme for renewable energies. So renewable energies provide almost 50% of final consumption. It's mainly biofuels and onshore wind. And that's thanks to a cost-efficient and technology-neutral support scheme. And the electricity certificate scheme system keeps the retail cost low, around 0.6 cents per kilowatt hour. And the joint certificate markets with Norway is a model of regional cooperation. Now let's have a look at the key sector, power generation. Electricity supply is almost carbon-free, dominated by hydro at 44% and nuclear at 41%. Sweden, part of the strong Nordic electricity market, and is taking the lead in smart grid technologies by rolling out smart meters and large-scale demonstration projects for hourly metering to empower consumers. And I would like to emphasize that once more, to empower consumers to save energy. Now, increasing investment in energy-related R&D funding and a clean strategy foster innovation, commercialization and export of Swedish clean energy technology. And export also means jobs. Let's not forget about that. It's more than just energy. So what's the result of all this? energy-related CO2 emissions per capita are below the IEA European average. And what CO2 emissions are left mainly come from oil use in transport and coal and electricity consumption in the manufacturing sectors. So emissions reductions in those sectors outside of energy transformation sectors will be more costly, yes. So further CO2 cuts to 2050 will be increasingly difficult, but they are certainly feasible. Now let's have a more detailed look at a few sectors. In industry, energy efficiency and CCS are the key prerequisites, and the forestry sector is an important example. So combining CCS with bioenergy could result in net removal of CO2 from the atmosphere. Progress in the transport sector has so far been impressive. Swedish policies such as fiscal incentives, congestion charging, low blending, R&D, they all promote clean vehicles and the use of biofuels. But more has to be done, and Sweden has high ambitions towards 2030. Well, you know, and if not Sweden can do it, who else? We believe at the IEA. In the building sector, we welcome stringent building codes for new builds, energy performance certificates, and support to low energy and zero energy building demonstrations. So, nothing more to improve? Well, even if Sweden is already on track to meet and even exceed its 2020 targets, it will still require further efforts. So what defines progress for Sweden? Sweden should evaluate policy results on energy efficiency with a view to prioritize and scale up activities according to their potential for cost-effective and energy savings, in particular in industry, buildings and transport sectors. And then there is the 2009 decision to replace those nuclear reactors at the end of their operational lifetimes, offers some certainty. But now we must be clear about when and how industry will carry that through. And with regard to the ambitious priorities for 2030 and 2050, it's implementation. Implementation needs to go forward to make it operational. And I'm very pleased to see that Sweden is developing a climate roadmap, clean tech strategy, and smart grid council to do that. And there are three elements that will shape the success of this transition. It's cost effectiveness, technology innovation, and consumer benefits. And this is also where regional solutions come in, because regional solutions can help to control costs. Deploying technologies like smart grids, electric vehicles, carbon capture and storage can support decarbonization without compromising economic competitiveness, security of supply, and affordability across the region. So in terms of carbon, Sweden looks very much on track. But the cornerstone of IEA is something else. It's energy security. So how does Sweden look from that perspective? Sweden has a strong continuity in its energy mix for the past decade. Replacing oil by nuclear was a strong response on energy security in the 70s oil crisis. Yes, oil remains important, and so does nuclear and hydro. And natural gas increases. Now today, Swedish oil supply is well diversified, and the country consistently holds emergency stocks, and these emergency stocks are well in excess of those required by the IEA. That's 90 days of imports. And that's good. But the outlook for natural gas is slightly different. Rising demand for natural gas highlights increasing reliance on a single pipeline from Denmark. So commendably, Sweden regularly prepares a risk assessment, preventive action plan and emergency plan in consultation with Denmark. And these are important steps to mitigate risks. But Sweden should consider the need to diversify sources and supply routes as demand grows. Electricity supply is secure, even with an increasing share of renewables, and that's thanks to ample balancing reserves from hydropower. and biomass expansion, as you also can see on the slides. And still, when low water levels and nuclear maintenance coincide, Sweden tends to resort to a strategic power reserve, which should be phased out by 2020. So to maintain a secure electricity system, the IEA encourages Sweden to identify market-based options already now, before 2020, and giving greater consideration to active demand responses from a smarter grid and, again, regional solutions. So let me close by offering 4 key recommendations to the government. First, let's have clear plans for implementing a low-carbon transition. To minimize uncertainty as Sweden works to meet its 2030 and 2050 targets, the government should develop and implement long-term pathway analysis up to 2050 in order to test the robustness of different energy scenarios. And Sweden needs to develop an action plan to make its ambition of a fossil fuel-free vehicle float operational and to determine how this goal can be cost-effectively realized. The low-carbon transition will require a shared vision for decarbonization among all stakeholders. All. Yes, government. But let's not forget about industry. Let's not forget about civil society. And each industry should have a technology roadmap to evaluate various technologies in terms of cost-effectiveness and to identify the most efficient means to meet their objectives. Now, secondly is energy efficiency. And energy efficiency will be an important mechanism to deliver decarbonization. So my second recommendation is to develop a comprehensive approach to energy efficiency across the whole economy. And that means mobilizing demand-side services and encouraging more efficient energy networks, buildings, industry, and heat sectors. And third, there are the electricity markets. And the goal of market reform should be to emphasize consumer choice and competition. That's what it's all about. The infrastructure, the intelligent grid, independent data management, net metering, it's there. But more is needed. For example, a greater range of tariffs to take advantage of this technology to empower the consumer. And part of that is greater regional integration, which is my fourth point. The Nordic wholesale electricity market is a model of integration, but the retail market remains national. So we support the development of a Nordic retail market by 2015. And as your neighbors decarbonize and deploy renewable energy technologies, greater interconnector capacity is needed, both with them and between North and South Sweden. Swedish hydro resources have the potential to balance growing regional renewable electricity flows in Central Europe and the North and Baltic Seas. Low-carbon policies in the transport sector can also be more effective if jointly pursued with neighbors through joint infrastructure planning of smart grids and electric vehicle deployment. So, Daniel, ladies and gentlemen, let me repeat my compliments. I have to admit, rarely am I able to deliver such soft recommendations. But it is important to keep up the good work so that Sweden not only is, but also will be in future a model for Europe as it transitions to an advanced energy economy. Thank you once again, dear State Secretary, and of course, after remarks and so on, I will be happy to take questions if they are. Thank you.